Oh, it's so wonderful to see you again. Come in and unwind. Welcome back to the Celestial Cafe, a podcast for the magical mind.
So come, take a seat. Would you like something sweet? A star drop potion for the soul? Maybe an enchanted eclair as a treat?
I just baked a batch of warm cookies with a dash of moonlight. I wonder what will happen if you take a little bite.
Here is your bewitching beverage. Let each sip melt your worries away. It's time to open your mind. I wonder what magic awaits us today.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Celestial Cafe podcast. How's everybody doing? It is a astrology episode today. We're doing a full moon vibe check. What are we? Full moon in Scorpio, right?
Yeah, specifically
Scorpio.
a lunar eclipse.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we're getting a little spicy. Plus Mercury retrograde.
My gosh.
So there's some silliness in the stars right now that we're going to be talking about.
Well, the wonderful voice you hear right now, that was Dukesley. I'm Hey Shady Lady. We're also joined by the lovely Fuchsia and Panthera.
Hello.
Hi, already.
Hi.
So yeah,
Good day, Lord.
Good day, Lord. We do normally stream these episodes. So this is the first full moon episode that we haven't streamed. And this will not be the norm, but I am adjusting right now to a new job. So I started working
Busy.
as a barista at a little local coffee shop, which I'm very excited for. I haven't had a real life job since before the pandemic, and circumstances have demanded that I have another paycheck coming in. So I got a job at a little coffee shop, and I just started this week. Today was day 2. Tomorrow's day 3. And I'm just kind of vibing on that. So we're adjusting a little bit right now as the schedules kind of line out, but it shouldn't interrupt any Celestial Cafe recordings. It just might adjust our schedule behind the scenes a little bit. I don't think that y'all will be affected on the front facing, except for the streaming stuff, which I think is okay. So you'll have to let us know if you normally tune into streams, or if you didn't even know we streamed. Surprise, we do. Just the full moon episodes, and that's over at twitch.tv/Hey Shady Ladies. That's once a month we stream a Celestial Cafe.
And then we do, we stream
The full
the
round table.
Yeah, we streamed the other round table.
Oh, so it is twice a month. That's right.
Yeah, twice a month. Yes. So, but we're just switching it up this time because I don't know. There's some energy in the air. We wanna sort of calibrate ourselves a little better due to the chaos that's going on right now.
Chaotic,
We'd rather just focus.
Spring cleaning, new beginnings, all that good, fun spring jazz.
But we do want to say a big thank you to everyone. We are close to 200 followers on Spotify, by the way, which we just found out that we have Spotify podcasting statistics. So big thank you and hello to everyone from Spotify. And we don't have stats for
only 100 of those are me.
Well, these are, you have 100 different Spotify accounts? That's pretty impressive. You really are coming out to support. Thank you. But that's 100 email addresses. Wow.
Wow. Hey, I have a lot of email addresses.
We don't have stats for Apple Podcasts, but I know there's a ton of y'all that are listening on Apple. I think that's our most listened to podcast platform. So just want to say a big hello to everyone. Thank you for the support. Definitely a big thank you as always to our patrons. I hope you enjoyed Dukesley's most recent post that she put up. What was that post about, Dukes?
Yeah. It was a Fae Oracle card reading. It was cute.
It was very sweet. Yeah.
It was just a little check-in for all the patrons, just a little bit of fairy energy to keep you on your heels, keep you a little lilted into the air. So thank you to anyone who read that and enjoyed that. And there will definitely continuously be more Patreon goodness from all 4 of us as time goes on. So thanks to anyone there who's supporting us.
And we see some new faces leaving comments on our YouTube videos. So thank you all very much for the support. I feel like we're seeing a couple little petals blooming on our little flower lately with Celestial Cafe. So thank you everyone so much for the ongoing support. and we're happy to bring you more and more content. So without further ado, I guess we're going to jump in today chatting about the full moon in Scorpio and the lunar eclipse. So normally I start these episodes by doing a bit of a vibe check, but I was telling the other hosts before we got started that I'm a little self-centered feeling right now because I'm just kind of like tunneled in on this new job. And so for me, I'm feeling really busy bee energy. And I actually am using that phrase specifically because that's one of the special drinks at the cafe that I work at. So the busy bee breve. Yeah. It's cinnamon and honey and vanilla. It's pretty, and it's a little latte. It's pretty tasty.
That
sounds delicious.
So
and that fits so well with our the flower moon.
Yeah.
So little bees on our flowers, just being busy.
Wait, do any of us have drinks today?
I just have water.
Dr. Pepper. And the empty Mountain Dew that I just finished.
That's delicious.
I just finished my Diet Coke.
We love our delicious beverage and tasty treats. We haven't asked that in a couple of episodes. So what's everybody sipping on that's listening to Celestial Cafe? Let us know. You can leave a comment on the YouTube video or whatever you like. Drop in our Discord server. That'd be cool too. But Dukes, what are you sipping on?
Water. Just water.
Oh, you're hydrating.
But,
okay.
Yeah, I'm hydrating today, but I have been in my off time really enjoying London fogs lately. That's been my drink of choice at the moment.
You know what I did with my water today? I put
What?
a shot of strawberry syrup and a shot of peppermint syrup in it.
Like, I've been seeing, I actually saw that like on TikTok recently or something where like people are starting to put like all these flavors in their waters and these syrups and I don't know. I don't like flavored water.
I'm not a big flavored water person.
I love fruit infused water, so I'd
rather just have tea.
If I could, it would just be sliced strawberries and mint leaves. But I was, I was leaving work today, and I was like, you know what? Let's go.
Is it good?
It's all right. A regular fruit infused water is better, but it's got the hints of strawberry and mint in there, so it's just enough to be like,
cool.
You know what? I'm gonna go buy some strawberries and make some actual fruit infused water because it tastes a lot better. It's brighter. This is dull tasting, and it's sugary. It's not a lot because I didn't put a ton in there, but the thing that I like about fruit infused water is it's not like sugary and syrupy. It's just kind of like an after aroma. Yes.
I gotta start like now that spring is here and summer and fresh fruit is going to be in season. I gotta like get a pitcher specifically for making fruit infused water. I went through a phase. I'm usually so good about drinking lots of water, and I went through a phase where I didn't, and what got me back into drinking water a lot more was drinking putting Crystal Light in it, especially like specifically the caffeinated packets, so it weaned me off of the soda also. But now I'm like now I'm just back to drinking straight water, and it's so good. But I love fruit infused water.
I do love just a good ice water. It's so yummy.
I do just like water. I probably drank like 2 gallons of green tea in the past few weeks because I've been making my own bubble tea at home, and it's so good. But I'll make like a quart at a time in a giant mason jar, and then I'll put it in the fridge so it chills overnight, and then the next day I add my agave syrup, and I've got mango flavor syrup that I've been doing, and then I've got mango popping boba that I have just in my fridge, and I do like 2 or 3 scoops of that, and it's so freaking good. I am like obsessed. It has fully gotten me off. I'm not going out to Sheets to buy a coffee anymore.
That's
so you know what? It's money saved.
That's good.
And it's delicious. But man, I like feel so hydrated.
So much. Yeah, actually drop the dates to that in the Discord because I also need to jump on the boba tea train.
I will include the links for my mango syrup and boba tea in the description.
Honest to God, I need to get in on that. That sounds so good. That sounds perfect for summer.
The syrup is a little expensive, but it goes a long way. And then the poppers, it's 2 containers for like $10, and I just finished my first container. So, and I probably had like 2 gallons of bubble tea so far, like I said. So, like a little goes a long way. It's been great.
Sounds like we're gonna be boba tea
less than $1 a drink and I'm drinking them in the quart-sized containers. So
fabulous.
It's been great.
So hydrated. Oh my God. I'm excited.
We're so hydrated.
It's so funny because I've been working on a VTuber, which I do have a debut date for that, by the way, May 13th. If y'all are curious to pop by and see the VTuber I've been working on, I am very proud of her. She's very cute and very animated. So I'm very excited to show her off. But the reason I bring her up is because I was working on her the other day, and one of my friends was like, oh, are you going to give her a boba tea like every other VTuber? And I was like, I don't like boba tea. But now that you're mentioning it, I think it's the tapioca balls that I don't like.
Tapioca.
The little fruit popper ones are very
drives
good.
Me crazy. The poppers is where it's at. Keep them in your fridge.
Well,
That's
I don't know.
I
I saw something one time, and this is like gross, but I saw something one time about a girl who had just drank like 5 boba teas in a row, and she had to go to the doctor, like the ER, because they had just like coagulated in her gut.
Yeah, her name was Panthera.
The tapioca.
No, the tapioca, specifically the tapioca, because she was also just swallowing them. Like, so it was just like 5 boba teas in a day and just like a bunch of tapioca.
If you swallow gum, it like stays in your body for like
and I'm sure
5
it
years or
disintegrated,
something.
but it had created a blockage. So, you know, I that was and I don't know. And then
Not my poppers. I pop them first so I can taste the
I also
flavor.
think the poppers are like thin walled, so I think they would disintegrate in the stomach acid anyway. But
it's like a little like a gelatin like layer, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, so sorry, that was a gross segue, but my poor little brain like stores like horror facts like that, and I'm like, oh. But
we're better than Celestial Cafe to discuss this.
Exactly, yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm back at a barista job. I'm going to get some practice in, then we can open up our physical Celestial Cafe.
Oh my god, true.
Yeah. I said you didn't have to take this Celestial Cafe so literally, but here you are.
Yeah.
You can come try Panthera's homemade boba tea.
Yes.
My London fog.
And also crystals.
Yep, I'll make you a nice, delicious busy bee breve. I can't steal it from this coffee shop.
Help us fund the retail
I'll
location.
make you a nice water.
Straight from the tap.
No way. The books
Fuchsia makes our delicious cookies.
They'll choose.
I actually an amazing vegan cupcakes.
And
I make amazing vegan
we'll
cupcakes.
have Fuchsia. You can get a tarot reading
And
while
Fuchsia
you're
runs
there.
the
Fuchsia's
book club.
candles will be up. Panthera will have a whole crystal section. I'll have some handmade sculpted necklaces. We're ready.
We just have to actually live all in the same area for this to happen.
We just wake up Dukesley when it's time for her to do a tarot reading for somebody.
Dukesley's in a little like lofted like cloth hanging over bed that just hangs over like the whole.
That's amazing.
You're like the stuffed animal holders in the corner.
Yes, exactly. Dukesley's sleeping up there.
See, a lot of like cute little bookstores, they have like a cat sleeping off in a corner. We have Dukesley.
We have Dukesley. Yeah. That makes me think of the other coffee shop I worked at. I Googled them recently just to see like I was curious about like business reviews, but I'm going through all the reviews, and this old coffee shop I worked at, we had a coffee shop cat, and his name can't remember now, was Siobhan, and he lives out on the back porch, and like I'd say 70% of the pictures of like reviewing the coffee shop and like were the cat, and that's it. So that's gonna be like Celestial Cafe. Be like, look at this sleeping out in the corner.
Why is this lady sleeping? How does she do it? It's just amazement.
Okay, so the vibe check is busy and silly, apparently.
Yeah.
So all right, so we've got an eclipse coming up. When's this lunar eclipse happening?
Oh, okay. So, yes, indeed. It's going to be a Scorpio lunar eclipse. And the new moon that just passed, by the way, which was on the 20th, was a total solar eclipse. Looking at my notes over there.
I think it was visible in Australia, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it says visible, and it was visible in South and West South America, Pacific, Atlantic, and Antarctica for all our Antarctica listeners.
Yeah, shout out to the Antarctica
penguins out there.
Shout out to the penguins.
They're the real homies.
It was visible in mostly a lot of the southern hemisphere.
Yeah, so and it looks like for our US viewers, listeners, it looks like we're not going to be able to see this one either. I do recommend. Let me see if it says here. It's not visible in the US, but it will be visible in Europe, Asia, Australia, Africa, Pacific, Atlantic, Indian Ocean, and once again Antarctica.
That sounds like everywhere except the US.
Yeah, I actually feel a little left out reading that.
So
because
really
you know
sad.
what?
Fuck you guys.
But you know what we got the other night, which I'm excluding me because I live in Chicago and can't see anything in the sky. Most of the US the other night could see the northern lights. Like,
I saw that.
Most of it. Not me, unfortunately, which is it's like my bucket list item. My one item is to go see the northern lights. And of course, I live in Chicago.
I know, I didn't know that either. I feel left out.
Yeah, it was a rainy day, so I didn't get to see it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's been raining here for quite a bit now.
Yeah, same here.
But a lot of, especially the northern states in the U.S., like a lot of the U.S. got to see the northern lights for.
Yeah,
cool.
no, I was jealous. Yeah. That's so cool. That shit never happens, and of course, it's during rainy season. Yeah. Classic. But yeah, this is gonna be a lunar eclipse in Scorpio. It's gonna be on Friday, May 5th. So we are recording this a little early, but I feel like this is good for for eclipse season. It's nice to be a little prepared ahead of time. It's going to be exact at around like 1:34 p.m. EST, which will make it like closer to 6:30 at night for those over the pond, and GMT around 10:30 in the morning for those on the West Coast. So it seems like most likely the Europeans are going to be able to capture this beautiful full moon. As always, I like to talk about the energy signature of where the moon is sitting in the chart, which in this case it's Scorpio. What is Scorpio energy? I feel like Scorpios get the short end of the stick a lot when we talk about like pop astrology.
They have a bad rep.
they get a Scorpio. I was thinking about this as I was making ramen earlier. I was like, Scorpios, Geminis, and Leos, I think, are the three most misunderstood signs.
I think it's because we're the kind of the loudest.
Yeah. And Scorpios, I think, end up being one of the quietest, and so they end up with this like.
They seem visibly
they're
loud.
Like a quiet loud.
Yeah.
I think I was going to say they're a quiet loud. I think it's because they got the water. They're a water sign, but a water sign ruled by Mars. So I think that it comes through very emotionally, and I think we joked about this on the astrology podcast, but like Scorpios are like the goths of the zodiac. It's they're also a fixed sign, which is worth mentioning. So fixed sign, they're just in the middle of a season. They are stamina based, high endurance, very focused signs alongside Taurus, Leo, and Aquarius. And the very stereotypical word for Scorpio, and it's a big meme in the astrology community, but I'm going to say here, is intense. It is just an intense energy signature. The way I like to describe it is like an icy river where the top layer is frozen solid, but the river is still running underneath.
I always associate them with like bottom of the ocean, and like what you just said, like intense pressure. Like it's like it's kind of like spooky down there, right? You don't necessarily know what you're gonna get. It's hard to see. There's like mysterious creatures a little bit, or just creatures that we aren't super familiar with.
Both of these scenarios y'all are describing are kind of dangerous too. So there's like a little bit of an edge. But they're edgy. But they're also like nourishing and life giving. But it depends on
it's because of that water.
On how they want to grace you with their presence.
They're very picky.
They're also very like regenerative. Like scorpions, they literally grow back parts of their body, and it's very like their energy is very kind of death and rebirth and very phoenix. I have a Scorpio stellium, and like the phoenix motif has been a constant in my life. I've always felt like, and that's what I think of when I think of Scorpio, is like that whole death and rebirth and growing back after mutilation.
After it all.
The phrase I think of with Scorpios is "don't start nothing, won't be nothing." They're defensive, and I think like the reason that Scorpios have such a bad rap, like Gemini, they're if you cross a Scorpio, you're going to walk away with a big old sting, and you're never going to forget what that scorpion did to you, and you will never touch a scorpion again. Like when I got stung by a little red, there was this red ant, which is actually a part of the wasp family that I found, and I touched it. That I will never touch another one again because it made my whole thumb numb for like a week. It's that kind of thing. It's a hard lesson learned, but don't poke the scorpion. Like, what are you doing?
I think that the big thing with like the average Scorpio, and of course, if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm a Scorpio, I'm not relating to this, you might not be a Scorpio dominant, because this is really describing the dominant traits of Scorpio in and of itself, right? And I think that a big part of Scorpio too is just like they go and dwell where others dare not to. I think they are the most likely sign to go into the depths. And
real quick, whenever I hear Scorpio, I think of Scar from The Lion King, and I just double check, and he is a Scorpio.
I was gonna say that's pretty good. That's pretty good energy.
Yeah, like just very
life's not fair, is it?
very very reserved, very strategic, very
we even said going where like other people wouldn't dare, and he like allies with the hyenas who are like sworn enemies
and
of
is surrounded by like elephant skulls and stuff. My Scorpio friends are likely the ones who it's 3:00 in the morning and they text me, "What do you think happens when we die?" Just out of nowhere. Like they're asking these random deep thinking questions that are just like, why are you thinking about this right now? Oh, I don't know. Like there's no reason.
It's a Monday. That's why they're thinking about
their mind is wandering
around. It's a day that ends in Y.
They're deep, prolific thinkers, and they I think that there's also a little bit of shock value with Scorpio. I think that Scorpio kind of like to be the person to stir the pot a little bit sometimes and make other people think and feel that they're deep. I think they really enjoy being that type of...
They like the depth.
Yeah.
I think as opposed to other signs and just people in general, I think a lot of people are afraid to go deep. When Scorpios, it's very normal and very safe for them to go deep, which of course is also a con for Scorpios, because I think sometimes they go so deep, they get so lost in the sauce that they end up wallowing maybe more than the average bear.
Yeah.
They end up
it's hard for them to reemerge like from those murky waters.
It's hard for them to come up for air, I think, when they're really like deeply in their passion and their intuition. And one more thing I want to say about Scorpio too is that something that I think about a lot with especially the Scorpio-Taurus axis, which I think is really interesting to think about, because when we think about Taurus, we think about this, abundant, full, like juicy, I don't know, like Taurus is just so thick with energy.
Scrumptious.
And they love to bake, and they love the good smells, good everything. While Scorpio, I think, really thrives and is taught how to learn to thrive in lack thereof. And I think that's such an interesting balance, especially when we think about the position we're in nowadays, just capitalistically, where everything's telling us to buy more, have more, use more. And then meanwhile, cosmically, Scorpios and Scorpio dominant individuals are being pulled in the other direction, which is to find joy and find worth and find passion in what maybe is not tangible and what is not there in front of you.
I'm just laughing because you're totally describing my lifelong struggle between my Scorpio stellium and my Taurus moon right there. I'm just like, they're opposite each other, and I'm always like always feeling the lack but wanting the more.
Yeah. I'm sure that must be such like a consistent theme in your life is maximalism versus minimalism, right? Of trying to find that happy medium between the two, that both fuels your soul, but also, I don't know, makes you feel good, makes you feel happy, right? Like
usually just read me.
It's an interesting side, and I think Scorpios get a bad rap as like these like bitchy, I don't know, part of the signs that are dark and scared and scary stuff. But like, I think that there's something admirable about watching Scorpio energy just sort of be able to so easily go into the depths and explore. And there are little like deep forest explorers or deep sea explorers of the zodiac, and at the end of it, they come back so much more knowledgeable and so much more wise. And shout out to Scorpios, always. Super cool sign. I do have one friend who's a triple Scorpio, and she's had a tough life with a lot of lack, but she's also created so much worth in very mysterious and interesting places. And so I don't know. There's a desirous energy, but I also think that they're able to fulfill it in other areas of life. It's kind of interesting. But anyway, so that's Scorpio. That's Scorpio energy. Let us know if you're a Scorpio, if any of this made sense or doesn't make sense. We're here for it all. But let's talk about the lunar eclipse in particular. So, like I said, it is not visible for all of us in America. Womp womp. But yeah, see if you could go check out the eclipse. It's always fun to see. I think that they're a really special astrological event. So if you have the chance, see if it'll be visible in your area on May 5th, right? And it's also worth mentioning that while we're in eclipse season, we're also in the thick of Mercury retrograde, which we've talked about many times on the podcast. So I won't spend too much time waxing poetic about it, but it's just one of those things that happen in the sky, gets fear-mongered a lot. Retrograde means that it appears like it's going backwards, but it's actually not. It's just the way that the planets look to the naked eye in the sky. And astrologically, when a planet is in retrograde, it tends to not be working at full volume, and things might be delayed. And since Mercury rules communication and transport and all those little intricacies that bring us together with other people, you might start to feel like there's problems in those areas in your life. The very common trope is, wow, my ex is communicating with me again during Mercury retrograde. You're getting revisited. We use a lot of RE words, revisited, remembering, and reconnecting.
And I think it would depend
like
too on like what the other planets are doing. So I feel like X's revisiting might have a lot to do with like Mercury placements, and maybe even Mars a little bit for that like sexy energy. And
definitely.
So I think it's going to depend a lot on what else is going on. And I can't wait for you to get this chart, because I'm looking at the chart and there's a big old party going on in Taurus. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. We are going to be talking about that for sure. Like that's probably going to be the biggest part of the chart, is the really interesting seesaw effect that's going to be happening. There's 4 bodies in Taurus right now, which is the Sun, Mercury retrograde, Uranus, and the North Node. And they are just having a big fat party up in the sky right now. Meanwhile, all the way opposite, the moon in Scorpio is basically alone, sitting alone. Classic, exactly where it wants to be, right? It's just sitting at the bottom of the chart, kind of twiddling its thumbs. What does that mean? And I find myself talking about full moons a lot with a choice. And I think that, I don't know, it makes sense for this too. But there's also a little bit of an extra edge on it because it's eclipse season. And so I also want to take a second to talk about eclipse season, which is kind of the way that I like to think about it is that like both the sun and the moon are kind of like out of commission energetically right now. They're both just in pause. They're in motion, and they're blocking each other, and they're like interacting with each other, but they're taking away each other's energy.
I feel like oftentimes in magic, we associate them with opposites, right? Like light, dark, cold, warm, however you want to say it. And when you merge 2 opposites together, they neutralize each other, right? Think of like an acid and a base. We've got a neutral pH right now when the eclipses. So they essentially just cancel each other fully out. So there's neither remaining energy.
Yeah, for sure. There's a quiet that's happening within that celestial area. I do want to bring our attention back to Taurus because there's a lot of energy there. And I don't know, the combination of the sun and Mercury and Uranus and even the North Node, I was trying to think of like what kind of like potion of celestial energy that creates. And I felt after some pondering and humming and hawing, I was really thinking about how we show up and how we influence the world and how we walk the walk that we want to share with others, rather than just talking the talk, right? How do you show up in the world? How can you make your presence more grounded for yourself and your loved ones? These are the questions that I think that all these planets in Taurus are asking right now. How do we just simply show up and authentically show up as ourselves? Because I think about the sun, which is just our essence, our light, our aura that comes outwards. I think about Mercury, which is how we communicate. I think about Uranus, which is our individuality. I think about North Node, which is all about our goals, our dreams, our almost karmically, right? And how to achieve them. And I'm just thinking about all these, how can we more peacefully connect with others around us? I think about all that being influenced by Taurus, which once again, is such a such a warm hug from the zodiac, and like really just showing up grounded. It's an earth sign. But it's really hard right now because we got all this eclipse energy happening at the bottom of the chart, right? All by itself, alone. And I think that once again, we're given a choice. Is this moon for you about showing up gracefully, peacefully? Ignore my camera if you're watching this, by the way. Everything's falling apart on my side.
Mercury retrograde?
Yeah, actually true. So just enjoy the PowerPoint presentation I've created for all of you. And it just feels like there's like this seesaw of earth energy versus water energy. Are you going to walk the walk? In true eclipse feelings, in true eclipse moments, it's so important that there is some time spent in words. This is so important. Every eclipse, I'm going to say the same thing. And it's true. This is a time meant to simply be with yourself. No magic, no distractions, no noise, just you and yourself, hanging out with yourself. And I think that another important thing too is I always like to look at the chart ruler for this time, which in this case, I'm looking at the ruler of Scorpio, which is Mars. And you look over at Mars in Cancer, and which is yet another water sign. It's this eclipse feels very damp. It feels this is like such a good moment to like cool down. Okay, this is not a time to rev your engines. This isn't a time to foo, 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 foo. The eclipse is definitely meant for sitting with yourself, which is why I sort of gave a bunch of questions regarding all the Taurus energy, right? I didn't necessarily tell anyone to go out there and walk the walk and talk and be present, but think about how you are present in the world around you and how you connect with others. I feel like that this eclipse is really good for just returning inwards, sitting with yourself, participating in, anti-inflammatory rituals, right? Such as, like just taking a walk during like a really cool day, drinking lots of water, and maybe like I was trying to think of like anti-inflammatory activities, like just healing in general, but nothing too intentional, right? It should just come from who you are. It should just come from your essence, what it means to cool down. How can you cool down? How can you turn off your inner engine for just a moment during this eclipse during May 5th? How can you show up on that Friday and allow yourself to just be and listen the eclipse always talks. The eclipse loves to talk in these little quiet fashion, sort of like the high priestess of tarot, where a lot of eclipse dreams, a lot of angel numbers, and all these really subtle ways of you being able to talk to yourself rather than with your voice. But I think that this eclipse is actually going to also bring attention towards what it's like for you to show up authentically with individuality, and just allow those thoughts to come to you. Sit with them, think about them, get comfortable with them, get comfortable with the discomfort of all those questions. This is meant to be a very cooling eclipse moment. And I mean, Mars in Cancer, it's definitely not feeling too edgy or spicy. That's all I could say about that. And it's feeling really chill there. Maybe a little too chill, but hey, it's eclipse season. It's the least we could do to just sort of lean into ourselves for a little bit. That is the true essence of being a part of eclipse season. But yeah, that all to say, there is a bit of a smorgasbord in the sky right now, but nothing that we can't handle. Just maybe don't buy any cars right now.
Darn, I was going to buy like 5 of them next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the heck? I was literally...
Give it a few weeks.
I was literally about to buy a car, JK.
Yeah.
We just had to
give
have
it
the
a few
tires
weeks.
replaced on my car. Boo.
Womp womp. I know. I've been seeing like some people in my life like this seems like a very poorly timed Mercury retrograde. Honestly, like it's not us, it's the stars. I feel like that there's just been so much bad timing happening lately. So I don't know. Really utilize this eclipse as the way it should be, which is, you know, no bells and whistles, just you, yourself, your inner thoughts, and with an emphasis on cooling down. I think that this is a really good eclipse moon moment to, I don't know, put on like a nice cooling face mask, get yourself a big jug of water, and pamper yourself a little bit. No rituals, just, you know, general self-care, so that your inner voice can come through a lot stronger, a lot clearer. And I don't know. That's all I really had to say about this. It's an interesting eclipse, I think. And I think that even for the average person who may not be in tune with astrology, they'll find themselves, because I think eclipse season brings the crazy out of a lot of us. Sort of like a full moon, but times a million. In
I'm
either
making
direction.
a note to not work that day. Got it.
Yeah, I mean that
dealing with 3rd graders on eclipse day.
Oh god,
no,
that could go either way. Honestly, like you're either gonna have a room full of sleepy children, or they're gonna be off the walls, not knowing what to do with themselves, trying to one up each other.
Chicago public schools is going to be the latter.
Oh my god, true.
So I'm not gonna work that day. It's
okay.
fine.
No, probably a good choice. Yeah, and return back home to you, and I don't know, just take it easy, I think is the phrase I'm looking for here. But also, when these thoughts and feelings pop up, eclipses are a great time to confront those dark parts of ourselves, especially because it's in Scorpio. I mean, come on, we just talked about how deep Scorpios go, and the fact that this eclipse is hanging out during the Scorpio moon, it's the perfect time to get a little deep and a little intimate with yourself, right? And try to get answers to questions that have been, I don't know, a little too hot for you to handle.
I guess I do have like this tiniest bit of vibe checking, because I feel like a big question that's kind of hovering in my mind right now, and maybe this will resonate for other people, is like, what is important long term? So it's like there's the depth of the Scorpio energy, and there's like the checking yourself of eclipse energy, where it's like, what are you doing right now, and what actually matters 3 months from now? Why are you wasting your time on XYZ when you should be doing ABC or things like that. I feel like there's a little bit of like sacrifice energy right now, at least for me. Some things have to be done, even if you don't necessarily want to. And then it's the question of why do you have to do those things? And then I like how you said, don't buy any cars right now. But I think it's kind of like this question of, you know, when will you need to buy a car? I mean, I feel like there's like preparatory energy going on right now. And this like self-care, like anti-inflammatory is kind of almost like a cocooning moment of a final cocooning process before the blossoming season is kind of what it feels like. A one last the opposite of expansion, one last like shrinking in before the expansion is about to happen kind of thing.
Yeah. I like, instead of evolution, it's like involution. Like you're going back inwards and using that to propel you forward and involving yourself most of all, right? And just like really relying upon your own inner voice, untouched by the madness that's outside of your world and outside of your realm of control. This is definitely a recentering moment. And a cooling moment. Like, it's just, there's a lot of friction, I think, happening. And this is meant to sort of cool everything off, if we could allow it. Because I do think that a lot of people will go and swing towards the Taurus direction, which is putting yourself out there and I don't know, being your weird, freaky self, which is very valid. But I think that it's more so about answering those questions in your own time than actually going out there and doing it. Just the nature of eclipse season is meant to be internal.
It's funny too that you keep saying cooling down because like, sorry, job talking of it. It's really hot in this building. Like I'm like red faced and like sweaty. And it's only April. And I was talking to the other manager and I was like, I thought I was going to get away with wearing my hair down because I'm used to working in a kitchen when I was at a coffee shop. So I always had my hair up and I was excited to see all the managers with their hair down and, you know, and I was like, I thought I was going to be able to get away with wearing my hair down, but it's too hot. So I had to put it up in like makeshift braids today. And she was like, oh yeah. And the AC doesn't really work that well. So it can get up to like 90 degrees here in the summer. And I was just like, I was like,
well, that's a hand fan.
I was like, that sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait. You know, like, I don't know. That's,
that sounds like a little bit of a long-term safety hazard to me.
90 degrees inside a building. And I'm going to be standing around like.
And you're going to be in there for multiple hours?
Panthera's about ready to take it to court.
I happen to know like a little bit because like with my boyfriend's job, he works in nuclear, but his employees, when they have to go into an area that's over a certain amount of degrees, they can only be in there for like an hour, and then they are forced to take like a 15-minute break before they go back.
Yeah,
or they have to rotate with other people.
I'm honestly a little worried about it, but we'll see. I don't think it's going to be like a consistent thing. I think it's like on the hot summer because it doesn't even get to 90 degrees here on average in this
like that owner needs to buy a little window unit or something.
I'm even like looking at these little fans that are there are two like ceiling fans and one is off and the other's like moving at like -1 mile per hour. And I'm like why are these both not on? Faster, like can we just I'll get up there and just fucking spin it real quick. Like there's something going on. Like
you just tie a rope to it and bring it over take 30 minutes. Somebody has to run a couple laps.
It's interesting though because like you're talking about the introspective part and you were like Taurus energy wants to go, and I feel like I've been dealing with the introspective part and I'm finally moving on things, like I'm finally doing stuff. And I think that's a lot of spring energy just in general for me. But like it's interesting that it's like comes up during eclipse season that I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get stuff done now finally. And during Mercury retrograde. Which usually the spring retrograde like fucks me up, and this year it's been fine so far. I mean, I might get slapped over the head at some point. I mean, we never know until it's over, but so far it's been fine, and usually it's really rough for me, but like things are going well.
This is kind of like I don't know if this is scientific or not, but like sometimes like a lot of negatives can make a positive, and so maybe all of these kind of like retrograde eclipse pullback starts to create a forward trajectory because of the
it's like a slingshot.
Like, it's like you load it up, and in order to load it up you push your hand forward a little bit and then you sling it back and then it projects forward so fast. Like it feels everything feels good to me right now. Like it feels like we're we're heading in a positive direction, and there is some reviewing going on right now. So I was talking with like what is important long term, what are your goals, what are you focused on? There is a little bit of a review that's happening, but that doesn't mean you're sitting there with like a checklist and a clipboard and it's a whole like analysis or anything. It's a very like intuitive process that's happening. It's gradual.
Don't
it's
come
natural.
after me in my list.
It's subtle. I think that's another, like everyone says that Scorpio is intense, and I do agree with that. All of the Scorpio like dominants that I know are incredibly intense people, but they're also simultaneously incredibly subtle. Like they're subtle with the intensity. It's not like they come in and they're like, "Are you ready to die? What is your reincarnation?" Like that's more like me with my Gemini vibes. Like I want to ask kind of edgy questions with my Sag moon too. I kind of want to get the conversation stirred up. But I feel like Scorpio, with that energy around, it naturally gravitates you in a direction that's deeper in such a gentle way that you don't even realize it's happening until you're there. And then all of a sudden you realize that it's okay. Here's how I would equate it.
You just have to take the plunge.
You're talking about frozen rivers and oceans and stuff. The way I see it is you're afraid of water, like being around a scope for me. Okay. Right. You're afraid of water and you've got your little feet dipped into and you're holding both of your hands with a Scorpio, and they've got you involved. They're eye contact with you directly. And they're in such a deep conversation with you and they're just like kind of slowly tiptoeing centimeters back at a time, and you're completely wrapped up in the experience with them, that before you know it, you look down and you're in the deep end and you had no idea that you were even being brought out there. And you can either, when you look down and see that your feet are like however far away from the bottom of the pool of water, you can either start to freak out and flail, or you continue that Zen feeling that you had the whole time you were being slowly drifted out there. There's a bit of sink or swim, but it's not like sink or swim almost implies like a critical, terrifying moment, right? But I will say that kind of resonates, because I keep joking at this coffee shop and I'm like, I feel like y'all have thrown me to the wolves right now. Like I said, I'm hitting the ground running. I'm joking. There's not a training process. I'm day 2 running register, making drinks on the floor alone. And I'm like, y'all, but we're so short staffed. So maybe that energy resonates with other people too, as there's a very much like, there is kind of a sink or swim. It's not as critical as like life or death feeling, but it is this like, there's an intense moment happening, at least for me right now, where how are you going to handle what's being put in front of you? Are you going to rise to the challenge or shrink back into the shell that you've been in, and in this quiet, comfortable, normal, predictable space that you've been in?
Taurus
that is this comfort zone that you're in. There's very much like an emerging from the comfort zone, or staying kind of like huddled under. And I think that's the decision that's happening right now. And it's totally fine to stay in your cocoon and stay in your comfort zone if you're not ready, and maybe you're not. Maybe that's going to happen.
But do it with your whole heart. Then, if you're going to do this,
there's a big commitment, like asking, will you commit to whatever it is that you're choosing to do right now? Yeah.
And that's another interesting part about like the Taurus Scorpio axis is the presence and the earthly presence that comes with Taurus energy sort of being evened out by this very amalgamous, watery fluid Scorpio energy that all of a sudden swallows you up. It's like a tide that you don't realize is going to be that big until it hits you, and then you're tumbling. And I think it's very easy to be bowled over by Scorpio energy if you're not prepared for it. And I think that with Taurus energy, it's very easy to sink into and sort of allow yourself to become enmeshed with Taurus energy. For maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but it's very easy to fall into that, I feel. And I think that this time period right now is just so much about this eclipse is all about taking the time to authentically check in with yourself. And hey, are you gonna fight for your right to party right now? Are you going to continue leaning into your authenticity and continue to walk the walk as you do through life, and or is it time for you to retreat inwards and double check your progress, checkpoint. A lot of eclipses are. I always consider eclipses a checkpoint of sorts.
Save your game.
You're saving your game right now. I love that. It's very true. So you want to make sure that the progress
But
you're
what if
working
I want to
towards
save
first.
scum?
Not the save scumming.
I'm sorry,
Just
the
video
what?
game thing. Save scumming.
What does this mean?
It's like when you like mess with your game file and you like save it. Like there's so many different ways you can do it. You can like save it while it's shutting down the game, and then you like put in new file. It's hard.
It's like if you're trying to get something that's RNG based, you close your game before saving, so that you can. Like you save your game before you get the RNG based thing.
It's like a save
state and then re-roll. Okay.
And then re-roll.
Unfortunately, we can't save scum.
I was like, this isn't real life. I've
never heard it referred to as. I guess I've always heard it as just like the quick save and the reload or whatever. But I've never heard of save scum.
Yeah. Just Splatoon things.
I was thinking Animal Crossing, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah. They do that in Animal Crossing too. You're right.
From what you described, I bet it's like probably a big Pokemon thing too for shiny hunting, right? Okay, so it's a big Nintendo thing, which is probably why I haven't heard of it before.
Fair enough. But that's all I have for the astrology. So happy eclipse to everyone.
And this is the last of the eclipse season for now.
Eclipse season will be closing out after this eclipse in Scorpio. So congratulations to everyone surviving.
Our next eclipse is until like August or September, right?
Yep. It won't be for some time, so we'll get a little bit of a breather, but we still have a little bit of Mercury retrograde to work through, but no big deal. We got this. It's all in our hands. That's what the eclipse reminds us of, for sure.
If you guys are curious about what other retrogrades might be coming up or when they're ending, don't forget to check out our Year at a Glance episode back at the beginning of the year. We talked a lot about the upcoming retrogrades, all the big ones for the year, and when you can expect them. So check it out.
Yay.
And now we'll talk about the flower moon.
All right.
Which is May's full moon. So I always talk about the traditional full moon names and meanings for each month of the year. And May's full moon is known as the flower moon. So the flower moon gets its name from just the abundance of flowers that are blooming at this time. I'm sure if you guys have been outside near you, you might notice that all of our kind of bulb plants, like our tulips, are really bright right now. All of it.
Not in Chicago.
Okay, I'm in Ohio, like northern Ohio. We got snow last week.
We got snow.
This is not related to local geography, but Ariana Grande and Wicked, they planted a flower field of like 9 million tulips for one of the scenes.
Wait, what?
Nobody asked.
Number.
Look, I'm not coming up with too much pop culture, I don't think. So y'all said tulips. I thought of that. A field of 9 million tulips? That's insane. That's crazy.
That's a lot. That's a lot of tulips. Wait, where is this?
No, our flowers haven't come out.
A specific scene of Wicked. They didn't want to use CGI, so they planted a full field of
I
tulips.
forgot that she was gonna. Is she Glinda?
It's getting I don't know who she's playing. I don't know much about Wicked at all. I've never read or seen or anything of it, but it's getting very, very good reviews. So yeah, I'm actually kind
I
of.
didn't even know that
I
existed.
might have to reread it before it comes out.
Sorry, Wiki spelled it.
Sorry, yeah.
we have daffodils. That's daffodils just started coming out. That's it. That's it.
Crocuses,
not daffodils. Sorry, what are the
early blooming?
Not daffodils.
Those yellow ones.
Dandelions.
Dandelions.
We have dandelions. That's it.
Daffodils
That's
are
all we've
usually
got so far.
pre-dandelion.
I was going to say our
but
daffodils are usually out about 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know of any place that actually has daffodils planted specifically here. So
maybe they just aren't planted around you. But so whatever local flora and fauna you have near you, I'm sure it is a blooming. Some other names for this full moon are the hare moon, which is kind of medieval European. The budding moon or the egg-laying moon from the Cree. We've got the panther moon, one of my personal favorites from the Choctaw
I wonder why.
Wow.
The dragon moon from Chinese. So
Also
all
cool.
kinds of different ones. So definitely check it out if you're interested in some alternative names. And then we have our magical workings. So this moon kind of kicks off the summer season, and therefore its seasonal energy is of abundance, growth. We're beginning to reap the harvest of what we've been working towards. So everything is starting. You planted your seeds already back the past couple months, starting it with like the worm moon probably back in March. And now it's starting to bud. It's starting to bloom. You're starting to maybe see the fruits of your labors. Maybe they're not ready for harvesting quite yet, but you're beginning to see the results. So, and with Beltane kicking off the month of May as well, too, we have those themes of kind of love and lust and fertility and all the sexy times. So
I'm going on my
time.
first date in forever on
Oh my
Sunday,
God.
right before
Not
Beltane.
the fertile
so-
vibes bringing you out of lurk with that information.
Feeling
Hopefully not fertile vibes.
Hopefully not.
So some good magical workings to do during this time are things to bring in fertility, not necessarily in like a sexual way either, but like in just growth, abundance, prosperity, the fertility of the land, fruitfulness, growth. We've got lust, passion, love, prosperity, wealth, opportunity, warmth, light, and then breaking down barriers or obstacles.
Well,
So those are all great things to kind of plan your spells around. And now we have our correspondences. So if you're looking for more ways to add some energy to those spells, some good colors to work with during this time are red, orange, yellow, green, and pink. Some crystals are ruby, garnet, amber, malachite, and rhodonite. Malachite's one of my favorites.
I love malachite. I use
it's so
malachite
good.
like extensively. I love that.
Yeah, it's so good. I have some malachite mushrooms coming in to restock in my shop. So they're these
Cute.
little
I might have to get one.
mushrooms.
That's
They're super
awesome.
cute. If you guys are interested, check out my Etsy shop.
Oh my God. At first-
/Farrellwood wares.
At first, I thought you meant mushrooms made out of malachite, like edible mushrooms. I was very
edible.
confused.
Please do not
Please
eat
do not
malachite. It's
eat.
actually really bad. Don't let it touch water
Please don't
either.
eat it.
Hey, Shady Lady has entered the chat.
What about eating
Does
mushrooms?
not say edible mushrooms.
Do not eat the malachite.
So,
Please don't eat malachite. It's very toxic.
You can eat other crystals. Actually, no. I don't.
don't eat any crystals.
Yeah,
Please
sorry.
don't.
As someone with a severe toothache right now, please don't eat
Redacted.
rocks. Thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah.
It's very tempting, but don't do it.
You're going to regret it on probably both the way in and the way out.
Yes.
Oh
True.
my god, not the callback to the boba. All right, continue.
So, since that was such a respectful conversation, now we're leading into deities. Some good deities to work with during this time are Kali, Cernunnos, Flora, Bast, Venus, Aphrodite, Diana, Artemis, or Pan. Some great herbs to work with are cinnamon, mint, which mint might be budding in your garden too if you're in a warmer climate, rose, mugwort, thyme, yarrow, and magnolia. Some great trees are hawthorn, rowan, and apple. And then this moon is correspondent with the element of fire. So we've got this warming up of the earth.
It's funny
And-
because I talk so much about cooling down. There's like basically nothing in fire
We talk
signs
about conflicting energy a lot, right? With the eclipse and everything. So we've got like the world kind of wanting to warm up and open up, and then you've got like the conflicting stars right now. And even if you think about it, like the Earth and then space essentially are kind of opposites in and of themselves as well too.
Yeah.
So
I guess you could either choose to lean into the folklore.
think about what you're feeling, and maybe this is going to depend on your area too, because if you're in an area that maybe sees the eclipse, or you're in a colder area still, maybe it's better to lean into that kind of Scorpio, dark, cool energy. Whereas if you're in a warmer area, if you're seeing lots of budding life, maybe you work heavily in the garden or something like that, then maybe leaning into the flower moon and some like local folklore and things like that in your area is a better place for you. So it's always about what personally works for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some shadow work prompts for the flower moon. The first one is, what are your feelings at this moment towards your current goals? Are you feeling motivated, disheartened? Why do you feel this way? And then it's, how are you tending to yourself and your needs and goals to best achieve them? If you aren't, what's holding you back from doing so?
And lastly, how can you best set yourself up for success in this moment? What is one step you can take today towards your goals?
Wow,
And
so
these
this is
will all
all
be
goal
listed on the
setting.
website, by the way.
This is all goal setting. Then
It
sounds
is.
like.
It's all about, well, it's about the seeds that you've planted before, and are you still maintaining those seeds, essentially? Like, are you setting yourself up for the best harvest that you'll receive later this
right. Or are you
we're
getting
kind of the
comfortable?
hard-working area of spring. Yeah, this is a busy time. If you're a gardener like me, you probably already started your seeds, and maybe you're trying to transplant, maybe you're potting up your seedlings.
I was thinking of doing that yesterday. I haven't yet. But...
So it's a busy time. Like, maybe it's time for starting phase 2 of like what will be your summer crop if you're in an area that can go out soon. So it's and historically, you know, spring was an extremely busy time. Usually it's spring, you've got a bit of a lull in the summer, and then it's harvest time, right? And all that work comes right back again. So these are one of our 2 busiest times of year for our farmers and for our ancestors, essentially. Mm-hmm. And so then for our tarot spread, for our first card, we have, how can I better tend to the seeds and ideas that I have planted? Our second card is, how can I achieve and sustain successful growth? And then card number 3 is, how can I prepare to receive this abundance?
Well, cool.
So if you guys want to try that out for yourself, we'll post it in the Discord, and you can post your responses there as well if you want to come join us. What do you guys think about
I pulled 3 cards.
Oh, okay.
I pulled 3 cards.
I haven't pulled cards, but I'm shuffling.
I pulled is a strong word. I just used a generator on tarot.com. And I seem to have come up with how can I better tend to the seeds and the ideas I've planted? I got the Page of Cups, who is my current card that's following me.
Oh, nice.
The Queen of Pentacles has graduated, I think. She said, okay, you got this now. Now it's the Page of Cups is coming in, which makes sense for me because I'm really entering a creative moment for the first time in a really long time, like actively participating in art and in working my mind, like the right side of my mind and those ways, and just like dreaming a lot more and making connections based upon the art and the joyful creativities I lean into. So that checks out. How can I achieve and sustain successful growth? I got the 4 of Swords, rest, rejuvenation, understanding that rest is temporary as well. It's sort of an Eye of the Storm card, right? And that it's rest when I need to, awaken when I need to. I don't know. I like to sleep. So we'll see how that goes. And how can I prepare to receive this abundance? And I got the 7 of Cups, which is my favorite card in all of tarot. So it's nice to see them there. And for me, lots of different avenues, which I'm definitely feeling. There's lots of different avenues for wealth and abundance coming my way right now. A lot of different hats I'm trying on, a lot of different spaces I'm weaving in and out of at the moment, and I'm staying big pictured about a lot of it too. Just and understanding that when I make choices, that there's still other choices to be made afterwards. I'm not locked into anything, right? I think that's the beauty of the 7 of Cups, is just the otherworldliness of it. So I prepare to see the abundance in many forms, curiously, excitedly, and I gotta keep being creative, keep being lighthearted, and take lots of naps. So it sounds good to me.
Yeah. So for how can I better tend to the seeds and ideas I've planted, I do the 2 of Wands reversed, which I find interesting. It's normally the guy that's got like the globe in his hand with 2 wands looking out over the water. So the first thing I thought when I saw this card was like, stop looking for a different shore to land on and just stay where you are, is kind of like the feeling that I got from, and
focus on what's in front of you instead of what's away.
And what I'm kind of feeling from this is more like kind of focusing inward a little bit instead of looking outward. So
finish the projects you have,
and in some ways, I guess it could be like whenever I see reversals, I feel like there's always like a couple of ways they could be read. It's like either afraid to step out into new territories or don't need to step out into new territories and looking for new territories to step into. And the other cards that I pulled, so how can I achieve and sustain the successful growth, is the Ace of Wands, which I think is probably like a pretty nice card to pull for that spot.
Yes.
And how can I prepare to receive this abundance is the Three of Swords reversed. So
cleansing.
Three of Swords reversed is like releasing space in my heart, like releasing old pain and trauma,
toxic,
to let those swords fall out so there's more
enjoy.
space. And how
you're draining the poison.
And so that new things can take root and grow. And with the Ace of Wands, there's definitely new growth to be had. But I do think that there's a bit of like passion focus. Like, are you focused on passion? What is it that you actually love? What is it that actually is filling you with energy and you look forward to long term? What can you see yourself taking from an ace to a 10? And I think it's a lot of that. So I don't know. It's like the Sagittarius like plague, I think, especially like a Sag moon, is the Belle from Beauty and the Beast. There must be more than this provincial life. Moana, wanting to leave on the ocean. There's something else for me. Something's calling me. Like, there's always that feeling of where you are isn't where you're supposed to be. And I think that's kind of the struggle when I see the Two of Wands. It's that feeling kind of reiterated of
it feels very Rapunzel.
Yeah. Like, so, yeah, because trapped in the same way that Belle is trapped in her little provincial town, right? Like there's a bigger world out there. And with Moana, it was like, I have a bigger destiny than what's been set before me here and what's expected of me. And I can feel it calling for me. I just don't know what it is. And I'll know it when I find it, but I got to go look for it, kind of thing. And I think that's kind of a struggle in general I think, to me, all of that energy kind of comes out when I'm looking at the Two of Wands. And when I see it reversed, how can I better tend to the seeds and ideas I have planted? That specific phrasing of that question makes me, you can't tend to seeds and plants if you don't stay where they've been planted, right? You have to stay with where they're planted. So you're feeling the calling to leave, but the leaving is constantly abandoning what you planted, which is why it never grows into anything, and why you always have an ace and you never have a 10, right? Like, so it's lots to think about, lots to process here.
Allowing yourself to plant and see what happens, and then work from there instead of constantly abandoning the seeds that you've so carefully grown.
All right, you took it too far, Dukesley.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I got, for how can I better tend to the seeds and ideas I've planted, I got the Knight of Pentacles, which I always associate with, like, I can't really explain it, but I always think of like using animals to like plow a field. So I always think of that slow and steady work and doing the work and sticking with it, like you were talking about, sticking with it. And just like, there's definitely a lot of stubbornness that goes into Knight of Pentacles. Just like but in the good kind of way, just like being, just seeing things through and just, doing the work, even though you're not seeing the results yet. And then for how can I achieve and sustain successful growth, I got Ace of Pentacles, another Pentacles. So I don't know. I'm not, I mean, like, I get it, but like, not to an extent to put it into words, like, how can I achieve and sustain successful growth? Just like continuing those new starts and like putting work into them, and it's a very earthy card. So
to me, I read that as like even investing into your work. I see the pentacles as like as coin, as payment. So it's like, how can I achieve and sustain successful growth? By investing maybe literal money, literal time, literal energy into the product in and of itself. That's how I would read that. Like, just giving yourself like that earthly foundation.
And then for how can I prepare to receive this abundance, I got the Six of Wands reversed, which is always an interesting card because whenever it comes up, like, I have a few different ways of interpreting it, but it's like, it's often I usually interpret it as like keeping successes close to your chest and like how you personally define success. And so what I want to be my end goal might not be what other people would want, but that's okay because it's mine, and I'm going to keep that close to my heart, to what I want.
Yeah, holding the flame a little bit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But Six of Wands is reverse is always an interesting card when it comes up.
Yeah, it to me, because like it's such a card about victory, right? Like this valiant warrior coming back from war, and the town is parading around them, and there's a little celebration happening. And then when it shows up reversed, all of a sudden the person, the warrior, isn't the forefront of the card, but instead, whoa. I just got very silly looking. That was cool. But instead, it's the people cheering on the victor as the forefront, as the top of the card. So it's always like keeping in mind the little people that got you to victory. You know, like one of those things too. I like the Six of Wands because it's such an interesting thing to think about, like victory being such an important part of like archetypes, and like really leaning into not even just success, but like I win, you know, like, and it's like that little bit of ego too. Like I showed up and I like beat the boss. I did the boss thing that the kids do in the video games, you know, like, yeah, it's a cool card. Like I like it too. It's an interesting card to mull and think about.
That's all I had for the flower moon. So
well, thank you, Panther.
If you guys want to check out that tarot spread and those shadow work journal prompts that I mentioned before, check them out on my website, which is farrowwoodfarm.com/flower-moon. I can talk.
So now I guess we need to talk about Beltane.
Yes, let's hear about
this
wonderful holiday.
I love Beltane.
My favorite Sabbath.
It's good.
So Beltane happens May 1st. It's about halfway between the spring equinox and the summer solstice. And it's when we celebrate the start of the blooming of summer. And I don't know about all of you, but it was the first pagan festival that I was really introduced to. So it holds a special place in my heart for that reason. But I assume a lot of people's first actual pagan like awareness was either like Samhain or winter solstice, but for me it was Beltane, and I love it. Maybe that just speaks to me being one of the people who work with the Fae, but which actually this is a very big Fae holiday. So if you haven't already, last week's episode we did a talk, Dukes and Panthera did a talk all about the Fae, so check that out. And it was awesome. You will be ready for Beltane. This episode is actually premiering on Beltane, so hopefully you will be able to incorporate some of this like right away, especially if you did your homework and listened to the previous episode. Did you do your homework?
Teacher mode.
Yeah. So it's a Sabbath that honors the peak of spring and the beginning of summer. Like Panthera was talking about, you'll often see, if you don't live here, a lot of flowers blooming, the blossoms on the trees coming out. We're starting to get leaves on our trees, so it's a start. It's one of the four traditionally historical Gaelic seasonal festivals, with Samhain, Imbolc, and Lunasa. A lot of the current day traditions are a mix of both Celtic and Germanic traditions. They just kind of get mixed into one at this point in time, but it has traditions in both Celtic and Gaelic, Celtic and Germanic locations, and it actually is mentioned way far back in like the 9th and 10th centuries in some of the oldest Irish literature. So it has a really long history. The festival is focused on protection, growth, and fertility. All those nice spring going into summer vibes. And a lot of what we talked about with the flower moon coincides with this. Surprise! Seasonal things have the same theme. Simple ways to celebrate are bonfires. Bonfires are really iconic for Beltane. They're used as a form of protection magic. People walk around or between them and leap over the flames or embers. And they also historically on this day would douse their household fires and relight them with the embers from the bonfire for renewed protection and fertility. Other ways to celebrate are decorating with flowers, especially Mayflowers. Decorating bushes or branches with flowers and ribbons and lots of lights. Bright things, fairy lights. Yep, and dancing around them like you would dance around a maypole. So you can dance around bushes that you strew with ribbons and shells and all these sorts of nice little trinkets that fairies like.
Yeah.
So
lots of crystals, lots of shiny things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fairies are very active during Beltane, and a lot of the rituals are to appease them and to make nice with them as they are very active. This is also coincides with Samhain in the southern hemisphere. So it's one of the 2 points in the year where the veil is thinnest. So our southern hemisphere friends are going to be celebrating Samhain at the same time as we're celebrating Beltane here. It's a very popular time for hand fasting or jumping the broomstick. So all those young loves will be just getting together and hooking up. There's a lot of feasts. This is, classic. they're all food oriented holidays, but this one is like bringing out all the cakes and treats and all the sweets. A lot of mead, bread, honey, strawberries. This is usually when, like, if you're in somewhere really warm, the first strawberries are coming in for the season. Shady's wearing a strawberry cardigan, and I love it. Very
tis the season, honestly.
Yes. And then there's a bunch of crafts if you want to get into the spirit with making things with your hands. You can make some. I have flower crowns. You can make flower crowns. You can make just like strewn garland all over the place. One of the popular things to do if you want to infuse some magic into your celebrations is a wish box. You literally write your wish down in a box and plant it, and then you plant it in fresh earth to grow with the season.
Wow, that would be awesome with like a little seed bomb attached to it. Yeah, that'd be so
I just
cool.
planted my seed bomb a couple days ago. I'm really excited for it.
Cool.
Finally, now that I think we're done with snow. But you can make spell bottles that invoke fairy protection, and I have notes down here for fairy summoning dust. If you want to start working with the fae, just grinding together some lilac or lavender blossoms, mushrooms, and chamomile ground together, and then you can put some crystal chips in this bottle with quartz, rose quartz, carnelian, all those kind of sparklies that fairies like.
Wow, the fae would love that. Yeah.
So if you want to start working with the fae, this is a great time, and there's one way to get their attention. This is also when a lot of people make corn husk dolls to burn on Mabon. So this is when people get those first corn husks from the first of the harvest and start making dolls. And then at Maven, they burn them. So
cool.
if you want to really think far in advance, there you go.
Pagans know how to party.
Colors for the holiday are green, pink, blue, yellow, red, white, and pastels. And a lot of crystals are ember, malachite, amber, carnelian, rose quartz, and bloodstone. So a lot of overlap with the flower moon. And I love Beltane. So maybe this year. No, I'm going to something on Sunday, time permitting. But I don't think we have bonfires planned. But it's been a while since I've been to a Beltane bonfire.
Yeah, that's something without, of course, naturally, because we're all witches here and this just happens naturally. We end up doing witchy things without realizing it. And growing up, me and my friends used to have a bonfire around this time of the year, and we would all jump through the fires and stuff like that. And it's funny looking back now, understanding what Beltane represents and seeing all the mirrors that we all just like naturally tapped into during my younger years. It's funny to think about.
Yeah, they used to, when I first moved to Chicago, there used to be, I don't know if they are anymore, but a group would have bonfires on the beach for Beltane, and
that's nice on the beach.
And I would go, but I was totally not witchy. just normal things that normal people do.
Yeah. It's a part of the teenage rite of passage to jump through a bonfire at least once. It's necessary.
But yeah, that's Beltane. So like I said, it is May 1st. So it is the day that this episode is premiering. And I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy the coming of summer.
Yeah, say hello there. And who knows, they might steal your shoe or something. So that's pretty cool.
Do some extra cleaning for them. That's my list of how I'm going to appease the Fae. I need to dust off their altar.
The brownies will like that.
Yeah. I looked at it the other day. I was like, oh no, this is bad.
Uh-oh. Gonna get angry.
Okay, well, I guess that's wrapping up our episode for today. Yes. Question?
Yes. Okay. Yes. Felix is here demanding.
Yeah, I was wondering what
Felix says it's time.
Felix is going crazy. Okay, well, thank you all so much for tuning in for the full moon coverage from Celestial Cafe. This episode should be going up on Monday, the 1st, as we just discussed with the Beltane portion of this. So hello, happy Monday if y'all are listening. And we'll have another episode recording this Thursday. It's a little up in the air right now, depending on, I'm kind of adjusting to this new work schedule. But what we've got scheduled is a cryptids episode with me and Panthera. So you might be seeing a cryptids episode next. We may have to do another makeshift episode instead if work stuff.
We'll figure something out.
We'll figure it out. We'll keep you all posted. We will have that information up on the website, which is at celestialcafe.org. You can get all the links to our different podcasting platforms. Spotify listeners, I hope you've been enjoying the video podcast that we're updating. The video doesn't hit Spotify the second the episode goes live because I don't get the option to upload the video until after the episode's already published. So if you're looking for video on Spotify, wait a couple hours until after the episode is live and the video should be available then. The website has our links to all of the podcasting platforms, YouTube, Discord, all those goodies, and the entire archive of all of our episodes. Yes, Doofley.
I have one thing I'd like to say.
Okay.
It's selfish. It's about me.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to do it before I forgot. It just came to me. Phasey reading. There's a new Phasey reading out for anyone who's interested. It's for all my gamers out there, all my gamer girls that listen to this. I have just uploaded something called the Triforce reading. I'm really excited about Tears of the Kingdom coming out in 15 days, 14 days, or something absurd like that. And I really wanted to do a reading about tapping into your inner Triforce, your courage, your power, your wisdom, and really helping nurture that, helping you come home to those virtues and those ethos that all of us abide by and are meant to embody, and all about reconnecting you with your current quest that you're on. It's a 7-card reading. I'm really excited about it, and it's going to be up for a while. So if that's something you're interested in, just know that that's on phasey.love. That's my newest offering, and
it's very cute. She's been working really hard on it.
I have been. And also thank you to anyone who's been just supporting Phasey. I appreciate you all. So I hope I can keep scooting some magic out from there.
And yeah, I guess that's gonna wrap us up here at Celestial Cafe. My selfish announcement is my VTuber debut is on May 13th on my channel. I'm very, 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 very excited.
Please check that
I special requested off from work. Like, I was like, I don't have any other requests. I'm not gonna be requesting a lot off, but my niece's birthday is on May 13th. I was like, it's just been in the works for a couple of weeks and I don't want to disappoint her. So they were super cool about it though. But yeah, so my niece's birthday is on May 13th on my Twitch channel. So yeah, does anybody else have anything to say?
No, I've been streaming and making videos. I have a video review coming out about one of my favorite games called Grow Song of the Evertree, and I have my most recent video is the Cardomancy anthology review. So if you're interested in tarot video games, check that out. But
and
that's
don't
all
forget, if y'all want updates about the host's content, there is a role in the Celestial Cafe Discord server. If you go to the role assign channel, you can get that turned on so you can get updates whenever we're going live or posting new videos or new readings like on Phasey, or shop updates like with Panthera's crystals and stuff like that. So don't forget about that. And I guess that's going to wrap us up here at the Celestial Cafe today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Apologize for those watching the videos if I'm making a lot of baby faces. I'm really fighting a bad toothache. Gonna have a tooth pulled next week, so wish me luck. But yeah, thank you everyone so much. And we will, I guess, see y'all on the next episode.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Goodbye.